Today I'm going to review the book The Pursuit of Perfect by Tal Ben Shahar. Tal Ben Shahar achieved a unique distinction when 1,400 students registered for his course on positive psychology. It was the largest ever course in the history of Harvard University. He has written several books. The Pursuit of Perfect was written in 2009. The book helps us understand that pursuit of perfection is the enemy of a happy life. The symptoms of a perfectionist are three. First, they reject failure. Failure is just not an option. Second, they reject painful emotions, believing that painful emotions serve no useful purpose and must be eradicated fully. To be happy must mean that we never experience sorrow. And finally, they reject even success. No achievement is good enough. Anytime we achieve something, we immediately move to the next level and are never satisfied or happy with where we are. Tal does not reject pursuit of perfection totally, but he does differentiate between good versus bad kind of perfectionism. A good perfectionist accepts and adapts to the reality and is called an optimalist. Perfection given what is possible. A perfectionist focuses on only the destination, not the journey. So the hurdles and failures along the way are painful, whereas one needs to accept them and enjoy the journey. The reason we reject failure is that we are driven by a need to project a better image of ourselves than the reality. This is a basic insecurity. If we are having trouble, we must not be good enough. So we become defensive and we reject all failure, not even acknowledging it to ourselves. Tal provides an interesting example of Edison, who wrote that he had found 10,000 ways of a bulb that does not work, or Michael Jordan, who acknowledged that he had missed 9,000 shots. These greats had overcome their insecurity and fully acknowledged that failure is part of trying. To increase your success, we must double our rate of failure. The second attribute of a perfectionist is rejection of painful emotions. One must realize that joy and happiness flows through the same pipe as sorrow and disappointment. If we block off the emotional tunnels, we also choke off the ability to experience joy and happiness. The world is filled with hurdles and setbacks, so accepting this reality is essential for a happy life. Carrying a burden always to have a perfect life is too tiresome. We must accept our humanness and this world's imperfections. Acceptance does not mean that we stop trying to change it, but first step is to accept where we are. Acceptance, even of such unbearable sorrows like a death of a loved one, eventually opens up new possibilities once you heal. There is a beautiful passage in the book from Emerson where he talks about that a fallen flower, which through the neglect of the gardener is made into a banyan of the forest, yielding shade and fruit to the wide neighborhood. Finally, the issue of rejecting success. We continuously strive to prove that we are worthy, moving from one success to the next. But we must find joy in the journey. There is an interesting description of Sisyphus by Albert Camus. Sisyphus was the man who was condemned by the gods to keep rolling up a huge rock up a mountain, only for it to roll back to the bottom of the mountain and the whole cycle to start again. Camus urges us to see Sisyphus as happy in his seemingly hopeless and unending task. And this is the essence of a happy life. Connecting it back to our own spiritual journey, the essence of the book is that life is full of failures and suffering. The more worthwhile something is of pursuit, the more chances are that we may face failure. We must face our life and assess it realistically. We set a path, we keep moving. We enjoy the journey and take all the hurdles along the way as opportunities for growth. But we don't reject feeling of sadness and sorrow when things go wrong. So in other words, stay focused on your journey and don't worry too much about hurdles or success. Does that sound familiar? Those are you who have read Gita.